You're listening to Left at the Valley 2.0, Atheist, Skeptic, and Humanist Radio.
What's up, heathens? This is John, the Godless Engineer, and I took a left at the valley.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. You know, we don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with religious people taking over the world, I mean, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from beautiful BC, Alligator, Florida, Six-Shooter, Texas, and Twin City, Minnesota, this is Left of the Valley 2.0. My name is Kevin, and people cheating on their tax is disgusting. This is not what I want my 23 dependents to grow up with. Joining me, as usual, is the team who pointed out the same people upset at naked mouses in a brook didn't seem to mind seeing Melania's butt naked. She says, if you die during orgasm, you're coming and going at the same time. Sabrina.
Hey, that's true, though, you know. Think about it.
He knocked on the door of a psychic. When she yelled, who is it? He left. Brett Lee.
You're muted, dude.
He's muted? Oh, boy. He told me bad rainbows go to prison, but it's a light sentence. Benjamin.
Hello. Yes. Prisms.
And she woke up, saw her cat Shadow. Now she needs six more cups of coffee. Hertzie.
Only 6? Nah. Up that number.
Right?
Welcome back. And this episode is brought to you by our noble spirit and Biggins, the smallest man, a perfectly prominent word. One of our patrons who is so tough that when he slices onions, the onions cry. You too can become a patron. To go to patreon.com/LATV and help the show grow. Guys, welcome back. We'll be talking to Janice Selbie in the second half of the show. But first, let's do a bit of Chit Chat. Oh, and a quick reminder, this is also the Recovering from Religion fundraiser that's going on until February 19th. So this is about the last week. You'll have them. Go to rfr.org, support their fundraiser. These guys do amazing work, which of course comes from our good old friend Dr. Del Rey. So if you have a few coins to spare, help these guys. They do a lot of great work for the community and for believers or not ex-believers out there. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. In the Chit Chat news, I kind of don't have a whole lot this week, but that's okay. Do you guys hear there's in international news, there's an ongoing dispute in India where several schools have implemented a ban on hijabs.
No.
Yeah, this is a ban on hijabs. This has raised fears among the Muslim students and that they could be deprived of their religious rights in the majority Hindu nation. There's been a lot of tension between Muslims and Hindus in India for a long time now. Muslims, and of course, in some of these parts of the world, Muslims do face a lot of persecution in China and Myanmar, for example, right? And of course, this has international tensions rising because right next door to India is Pakistan. That's right. And Pakistan is very Muslim. And these two countries are always kind of engaging. And they're both nuclear powers now.
Oh, wow.
I remember.
It's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, if only there was an agreement about that somewhere.
I
think they're part of it?
I remember that I was watching an interview with Bill Maher when he was talking about when he interviewed then President Barack Obama. And he asked him kind of in private, said, you know, what keeps you up at night? And Obama replied, Pakistan. Pakistan is the country. It's not Russia. It's not China. It's Pakistan is the country that keeps him up at night and awake. And I can understand why. There's a lot of fanatics in that part of the world. So the dispute in Karnataka has set off other protests, and they have captured the attention of the Pakistanis as well. Muslims, by the way, in case you didn't know, they make up about 14% of the population, which is 1.4 billion people in India.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a fair amount of people, actually. Right?
Oh, yeah. Do they have like a secular? Is it kind of like how we're supposed to be, like a secular government? You know, where it's like freedom for religion, or no?
The Indian government is very Hindu, and this is the problem here. Right now, it's going through India's courts, and they've directed the courts have actually directed the states to reopen the schools. That's because they've actually the state-run schools. Some of them were actually shut down because of this, because of the protest. And the courts have basically said, no, you guys are reopening the schools, but a decision is pending. So it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm not, it's not like I like religion, but I do like liberty, and I do like the ability, like, what the hell? Like, they're not allowed to cover, to wear the hijab. Come on now. That's
I was
for
gonna
what?
be snarky and say what would they do if they banned the turban, but then you said Hindu, and Hindus don't have the requirement to wear a turban.
Sikhism
So.
that has a
Exactly. So do they do
yeah.
that for the people who are Sikh? Like, or is there any Sikh people in? You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about it.
There's a lot of dispute between Sikhism, Hinduism.
I know exactly. So
but Sikhism is a small portion as compared to.
Which is interesting because I guess it's why, because they were so persecuted, they came here. Because in our area, it's predominantly Sikh.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
immigrants here
Anyway.
In Vancouver, anyway, in this area, absolutely.
Huh, that's cool.
So I always thought it was actually the predominant religion in India.
No.
I'm very wrong.
No.
And they're pretty chill dudes, from what I understand.
Yeah, they.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They have actually
amazing food.
Yes,
I've heard that.
Oh man,
I'm hungry.
Sikh temples, actually, if you're a homeless person, it's a place you will always be fed.
Always and taken care of. Doesn't matter who you are, what color
matter,
you
don't
are.
have to be Sikh.
If you walk in and you say I'm hungry, they will feed you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
24 hours a day, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I don't
need more of that. That's what we need more of right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of religion done right.
But then let's talk about,
Exactly.
there's the very dark side to Sikhism too. So we won't say it's
And,
exactly.
As atheists, I like to discourage the port of the hijab myself too, but I don't want to make it. I don't want to have it that way.
Yeah.
You don't ban it because I want people to drop the hijab by their own choice.
Exactly.
Not because they're forced to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Although Canadians are well known for apologizing, this time we actually mean it. We are sorry. Because this stupid so-called freedom trucker convoy
is not Canada.
Has now become some right-wing phenomena, and it's spreading. It's spreading all over the world.
I'm sorry.
Technically, didn't the U.S. kind of start this because we're the ones who started all the conspiracy theories?
Well, yeah, maybe, and also there's a lot of funding
here.
There's a lot of funding that's happening that's funding that Canadian convoy of trucks that's coming from the States as well. But the thing did start here, right? So semblance of convoys are forming in the U.S. and in France, where anti-COVID demonstrators breach police barricades in parts and snarl traffic around the Arc de Triomphe and the Champs-Élysées in Paris. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, so convoys from neighboring towns descended into Paris in defiance of the police ban after being inspired by the Canadian protest. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
The French, so the French didn't like that very much. So the riot police quickly threw them tear gas, and they arrested 54 and issued 337 tickets.
Good.
And stopped about 500 vehicles from entering Paris.
Good.
There's an estimated 7,600 participants in that protest. I'm so sorry. And in New Zealand, though, this is funny too. The police simply arrested protesters for trespassing. Yeah. Because there was some kind of a convoy that happened in New Zealand too. Only 1,000 people actually came down to New Zealand Parliament. And all the politicians, because usually in New Zealand, what happens when they have some kind of protest on the lawn of their parliament there, some of the politicians will come out and try to listen to what their grievances are. All the politicians in New Zealand basically said, in unison, they said, no, we're not acknowledging this. This is bullshit. You guys go. We don't want to listen to you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The funny thing is, I don't know if you guys recall, but New Zealand was one of the first countries that locked down heavily when COVID started appearing, and was spared most of the worst of the pandemic due to the swift action their government took. The country has only seen 53 deaths total.
Yeah. So what is it that there's?
What is it that you're protesting here? The COVID measures we've saved. You guys, I know there's only a population of 5 million people in New Zealand, but still, per capita, their record is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And they came in harsh and swift, and they said, no, we're locking down the country, and we're making sure COVID, and testing, and they did everything right as compared to countries like ours or the U.S. Basically, take our time, it's a hoax, blah, blah, blah. And now we have millions of deaths in the world. They have 53. Yeah. So what exactly are these people protesting for here?
I don't know, but let's just think about this for a minute. GoFundMe actually suspended the fundraiser and refunded everybody. And because the Ottawa police told them basically that this is no longer a peaceful protest, so GoFundMe said, well, that's against our terms of service. So they canceled it. Nice. But then what happened? It went to some Christian fundraising site.
Of course it did.
And within minutes, that site was overwhelmed and millions of dollars were raised. This is, if you think for 1 second that this is anything but a right-wing protest that is now primarily being driven by the US, you're fucking nuts. Like, Q has all of a sudden come up and infiltrated. This is not what it intended to be at the beginning anyway. It has completely morphed. It may have started out as something, but it's not what it started out as at all.
So if you stumble upon out there in the audience, you stumble upon this convoy somewhere, wherever you are, okay, ask them 2 questions. Ask them, this is supposed to be a trucker's right for a protest. What rights are you protecting here? What are you what demands the truckers are making are you trying to get? Are you trying to get better wages for the truckers? Better working conditions? What are you trying to do? They're not. Okay. And number 2, let's say, for example, you have your way. We stop the mandates. We open up all the borders. We open up absolutely everything just before COVID. How do you fight COVID? What's your solution? And they won't have an answer to that.
Their answer is that COVID's no big deal anymore, and we just got to live with it.
And it's bullshit.
Natural immunity, I believe, is where they'll go. Which it's like, okay, but there's like a lot of people who tried for natural immunity and it didn't work. They're immune, technically. They're very immune. They're immune to everything now.
I mean, you can catch everything once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so what's the numbers in the U.S. now? It's nearly 1 million people have died from COVID in the U.S. alone.
I don't know, but I think you're right.
It's over 800,000. I know that.
Yeah, 800. Yeah, that was the last number I heard. But yeah, it's high. It's a lot.
Oh yeah,
way too many. So, way too many, and it's worse than any war the U.S. has been in or anything like that. So you're at war here, whether you like it or not. We are at war against a virus. So if you want to shut down everything, sorry, I should say reopen everything and make sure everything goes back to normal because you miss going to the movie theater, that's great. But what's your plan here? What's your plan to stop all these people from dying? Yeah. If you don't care about these people dying, just say so. I don't care about these people dying. I just want to go back to the movie theater.
They're literally saying that it doesn't. It's not as deadly anymore, and we just need to learn to.
Also, hydrochloroquine. They'll bring up the hydrochloroquine
or
the other.
And that ivermectin's working. Anyway, we're
and apparently DMT.
It's all
yes. Yeah, all the things that you could, but I mean, it's like I think they're because they've turned this into some they live plot line, with conspiracies, and so they see it as this like evil thing to have the government to be like, hey, it's probably not a good idea for you to be killing everybody around you by spreading the virus, and they're just like, no, you don't tell me, I get to spread disease all I want.
Yeah.
No. So they are literally, I have seen it. They are literally comparing this to They Live. Like they are saying that.
Oh, they love it. Yeah.
So they're comparing it to it. They think that they're the ones that can see. They have the magic glasses,
No, newsflash, they do not.
So I want you guys to be on the lookout for the next Q guy that walks into a bank and says, I have come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a great one.
That was from that movie, wasn't it?
Yes, it was from that movie. It's one of the best ones ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Sabrina, do you have a top 10 for us?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Do you know what tomorrow is?
Monday.
Aside from it being Monday, another day of the week.
Oh
For-
yeah.
It's Black History
For a
Month.
lot of people, it's Valentine's Day.
Oh,
I
Okay.
personally don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't really much care for it. But you know, lots and lots of people do for some odd reason. Anyway, so I thought I'd do the top 10 funny gifts for Valentine's Day.
Funny gifts on Valentine's.
Yeah, because you know.
Breakup letter.
A friend of mine celebrates Valentine's Day, and she had there's this picture she took of her significant other's dog, and it's just this perfect face. So she took it. She's an artist, and she painted it into a famous painting, but replaced the person's face. I don't remember the exact painting, but she actually had it made into a printed canvas for Valentine's Day. So that's what she's giving him.
That's kind of
okay.
Cute.
That's cute.
Yeah,
Cute.
nice.
I'll allow that.
I like
It's
that.
reminiscent of these horrible paintings they had back in the 70s of these dogs playing poker. Remember those things?
No, it's actually really funny. Anyway, so number 10 on the list is you can get these wooden picture frames, and they say "Love you most." The end. I win.
Sounds like something you'd buy.
Yeah, it's actually
funny.
similar to a mug I have in the cupboard that you bought.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mug for you.
Anyway, number 9, you can get these coasters, and they have love themed puns on them. They say things like "I love you a waffle lot," yeah, or "Love you from my head tomatoes."
What?
Tomatoes.
Yeah, I have a very
Wrong.
similar sign hanging in my kitchen.
What
We
does
have
it
like
say?
it says that the tomatoes thing.
Love you from my head to potato or tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
I
Tomatoes.
love it.
Yeah, but shouldn't you have these things not on the coaster, but on the waffle iron?
Well, the
waffle
the
lot, you put
coaster
down the waffle iron.
actually, it doesn't even say waffle. It's actually a picture of a waffle. And same with the tomatoes. It's just a bunch of tomatoes. Kind of funny. So number 8 are you can get for the chocolate lover in your life, chocolate bar socks. Because who doesn't want to wear chocolate on their feet?
Chocolate bar socks?
Yeah, they're just socks with chocolate bars printed on them.
Oh God! Thank
Oh, okay. I was like,
that was going.
Hold
Oh
on.
my God! This
could you
chocolate is
imagine?
horrible.
Yeah,
it's gonna get
no.
sticky.
Oh,
This is like
Sticky.
mushroom flavored chocolate. What the hell?
You're awful. Number 7, you can get a card that says "I love you with all of my boobs." I would say my heart,
All
but my
3 of them.
boobs are bigger.
Oh.
I love you with all of my boobs.
Yes.
All 3 of them.
No, I would say with all of my heart, but my boobs are bigger.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cute.
okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't say these were good gifts.
No.
This was tacky, not funny. So there you go. This
Yeah. Let's see the text.
yeah. Number 10 or number 6 is you get these pillowcases that say my side and your side, except for my side takes up like 1.5 of the pillowcases. It's for the bed hog in your life.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
That would be for
sounds
my
like
cats.
actually-
There you go.
Yeah. You can get them for your dog, so I'm sure you could probably get them for your cat too.
Oh wow.
Number 5 is a mug that says "You're so lucky to have me."
Wow.
Number 4, you can get a bell similar to what Kevin rings every time there's a funny joke. That's instead it says, you know, "Ring for a kiss." Or "Ring for sex." In other words, in this house, yeah, exactly. Number 3 is a Valentine's card that says "I hate everyone who isn't you."
Oh, nice.
Okay. Okay.
For
Going the
introvert in
opposite
your life.
way there. I like that.
Yeah.
For the introvert in your life, I hate everyone.
Number 2
Yeah.
is a hammer that says "I love getting nailed by you" engraved on the side.
Okay.
Nice.
Right.
You give that to a Christian with a cross. Jesus.
Oh.
It's a good gift for grandma. I mean, she would love that.
Then get her
Yes.
tickets for 9 Inch Nails.
And of course, my favorite one is you can get toilet paper that says "I love the poop emoji" out of you. So it's got a picture of the poop emoji. I love the shit out of you. And the best part is it's printed so that you have to put it on the right way.
Well,
No.
Oh my
So there
god!
you
Is
go.
that the number
Oh, we'll go
one?
back.
Yeah, that's number one.
I've got a contender to add. If you go to
Oh, good.
www.dickatyourdoor.com, you can
Oh.
purchase
bag of
chocolate
dicks?
penis.
Oh, I love it. Hold on, let's put you up at the front here. Do that again. Show the picture again.
Wait.
I love it.
It's so bright.
Oh,
You can
wow.
actually, if you're really pissed off at someone, you can send them a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
I've done that in another top 10.
Oh, look, there also are eat my ass chocolates.
Oh, this is great.
You know,
Jesus.
if you walk into I guess sex stores still exist, right?
Yeah,
Not everything's online.
Yes.
now.
Mostly in their they're
Everything's
online.
online, right?
We got a superstore down there. It's called the XXX Superstore.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, they still exist.
It's right by the railroad tracks. I don't know. It's
Anyways,
It always is.
what do you get when you walk in there?
But you walk in there and they have some really nifty little products. I remember seeing some pasta, some boxes of pasta that you cook noodles, but
Yeah,
you know they're
they were
shaped
shaped
either
like
like
dicks.
little boobs or little
Yeah,
dicks,
yeah.
right? Which is like,
That's like what you get
Pretty
at
as hell.
Spencer's Gifts.
so,
oh, okay.
and cheese, but making penis pasta.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, so it's like the Spider-Man like mac and cheese, but it's
Yeah,
penis.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's a figurine of a little dick or a figurine of a couple
dick.
of boobs or something like that. It's,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we also have a package of caps for, on your tires, a little air intake thing that's
Yeah.
a cock.
Oh, a little screw on. Okay, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
instead of that, it's just a straight up dick and balls. Like
Straight
it's
up
there.
What is the fascination like? Anyway, I actually have a
one day we'll
meme.
have to talk about that the penis festival they have in Japan, which apparently is
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, that's
I was
fun.
going to say you can also get molds that you could
Yeah.
you can create a mold of your own items.
Yes,
and then
yes, yes. I know
Yeah.
someone
Wow.
who's online who's bought that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do it for either the penis or the ass.
Just remember before you make the mold to shave everything completely.
Yes.
And make sure it's not too cold in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I really shouldn't have done this in the walk-in freezer. Uh-oh.
I have made edibles with I have a mold of penises, so I made some edible penises. That work on edible penises.
Oh, I'm discovering things about you every day. Oh, God.
Anyway,
The more you
Thank
know.
you so much for
That's
that.
great.
Oh my God.
let's move on here.
Yes, move on. All right, Benjamin. You have something that
Things that make you go.
something that makes it goes.
Yeah, actually, and this kind of is a callback to when Sabrina was talking about how they essentially redid a piece of art by painting the pet's face on a person.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Turns
God.
out-
You come back into penis things.
No, it's not more penis. Don't worry. That's for later, Kevin.
It would
That's
not
for later.
surprise me on the show,
That's
man.
for
It would just
later,
not
thank
surprise
you.
me on the show.
Phew.
It's for just
All
the
right,
guys.
so there's a Russian gallery,
just
right? And there was a painting there of these faceless, like they have faces, but they're like blank, and that's kind of the point of the art. Turns out that some security guard decided that he needed eyes. So they put eyes on this piece of art.
Like googly eyes.
The painting is called Three Figures. It's by Anna Leporsakia. And apparently, it's a private company that provides security at the gallery. This security guard just decided they needed eyes, so he put eye dots on them.
Oh,
The
He's
painting
fired.
is from the 30s, shows three torsos and heads with hair, but no facial features. The vandal
Oh,
drew
wow.
eyes on two of them with a ballpoint pen.
oh God. Whoops.
They do say that they will be able to fix it. It's been sent to another gallery for restoration at this point.
Yeah, you just need white out.
OMG.
Someone's getting fired.
Right?
You see, I'm like,
Not
what?
fired.
They didn't have any eyes.
Going to
They
jail.
forgot the eyes. What?
The part that bothers me the most is there's three figures and you only put eyes on two.
Yeah, so what's
Like
the
at least
third
be
one?
consistent.
Maybe he got caught like in the middle of it.
I was just gonna say, can he get busted?
His
Maybe
friend's
it
like,
doesn't
hey man, I don't know
clarify
if you
enough.
should.
Like maybe
He
you
was
should
just doing
stop
it night
now.
by night. The eyes the first night, the second night he's putting glasses, the third night he's putting a goatee on one of them.
Oh,
You
Right?
got the mustache and glasses, like
Evil twirling mustache, Oh my god, this is like going to the Mona Lisa saying, her smile's not quite deep enough. Let me put like something.
Right.
What are you doing?
a little thicker smile there. There you go.
Like the Mona Lisa needs a mustache. Let's go.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Exactly.
Devil horns, and yeah,
Devil horn. Yeah, she needs like one of those twirly villain mustaches.
yeah.
This
You need to
this
paint
is
a hand,
Golly.
like watching her twirl it with both hands, like wow.
In
is
the
almost
spinny chair.
reminiscent- This is
Just
almost
as-
reminiscent of Trump when he started using Sharpie to extend the map.
oh my
Oh
god.
god,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the
Cool.
kind of stupid thing you do like that.
Yeah.
I don't quite like that. So, no.
Turns out Da Vinci was going to draw a villain mustache on the Mona Lisa, but he ran out of time.
No, no.
Well, there you go.
Figure,
So
you
you're
know.
just like
So we're
finishing
just helping him. We're just helping.
Yes, completing history.
Do you think this is a person with not ADD, but oh god, what's the one though?
OCD.
OCD.
thank you. The one with
I don't
OCD
know
that basically
how-
said, "No, this is not
No.
finished. I need to finish it."
Like
I don't think so.
Guaranteed he didn't have OCD since he only put eyes on 2 of them.
Exactly.
Good
If
point.
it wasn't
Yeah,
for
that's-
this, yes,
throws
and you
that-
would have done more than just eyes.
yeah,
Well, yeah, but like Hertzie said, he got caught halfway through.
Yeah.
yes.
Right? Like maybe. It doesn't actually clarify, and that actually kind of makes me upset. Like I hate
Oh,
an incomplete story. Like where's the rest? Who caught him?
Yeah.
How did he get caught?
yes.
It's just
Right.
like this guy did it bad. Sorry.
Stop
Yeah.
defacing art.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Defacing.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
Was that intentional, Kevin? Because that was good. Defacing art.
Oh.
Facing.
Ding 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 ding
Or,
ding.
yeah, they're
I
just
don't have
facing
the
art
ding
this time.
ding.
Yeah, it's just facing. Just
5 points for me.
all right, you got it.
Facing. Refacing. I don't know.
No,
So
the-
whoever's
like,
no. Whoever's restoring it and fixing it is defacing the art.
Bam! Okay, then,
What?
Benjamin has the eye on the prize.
yeah.
All right, Hertzie. It's time for your hard and fruity.
all right. So this is going to spin off of Kevin's thing about the protest.
Yeah,
Derisive air quotes.
Oh, the
Truckers
convoy.
convoy.
Oh,
The
God.
convoy.
Boy.
Okay, is it me or is it weird that the convoy's not moving? Because isn't a convoy supposed to move?
Well, they technically did.
They did move.
Moved there, and now they're occupying Ottawa.
Okay,
That was,
so do
All
they,
right.
do they stop being a convoy once they get to their destination? Like, how does the
yeah.
determination of a convoy work? I'm really curious here. Let's spend the next
Let's-
15 minutes discussing this.
Or we could take a break and let me talk about some people getting a little bit of just desserts.
Okay, only for you,
Nice.
though.
All right. So this is
Because
the
we all know
apology.
that the convoys are idiots. Let's just remind everyone of this.
Let's emphasize the con in convoy.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm sorry. Continue.
All right. So in this case, this is an apology from the U.S. However, this is from Iowa man who called an Ottawa Police Department to try and waste time with a bomb threat and a fake incident report. But the problem is he didn't call Canada. He called Ottawa in Iowa.
Yes.
Wait, this is the Iowa, Ottawa. Oh,
This is
shit.
Iowa,
Okay.
Iowa.
I gotta. Do you have the number to the other one? Your other
I think
location?
he asked for it too.
It's a real good thing that I found that one about the art because that was going to be my other one.
Oh yeah. So he was mad about the mask mandates, and despite the fact that he's in Iowa, probably not a trucker, probably having nothing to do with this, is deciding to do that. On a serious note, fake calls have been an issue for Canadian Police Department in Ottawa as the protest goes on, and many of them seem to be from south of their border.
Oh.
Surprise.
Sorry,
Fun
Canada.
surprise.
Yeah.
You know, Q, just go home.
Yes.
I was just asking if the refrigerator was running. Okay.
My second story is that last Monday, February 7th, the police in Ottawa, Canada seized thousands of liters of fuel and removed an oil tanker.
Yes.
And there was also a 10-day injunction preventing people from sounding horns. Now, this might seem kind of an odd because it's like a lot of protests I've gone to have never had that many horns. You get a few, but then it goes away. Apparently, they've been honking their horn nearly all of the time, and the residents in Ottawa have gotten no sleep.
Yeah, and it's not just regular horns. Let's remember there are
horns.
semis there too, so it's a mixture of semi horns and regular horns.
Look,
And
I have heard complaints from the semi drivers that no kids do the little pull your horn thing anymore.
Yes, I've
We
heard
used
that.
to do that when we were younger, and they're saying that nobody does it anymore. And they're actually kind of sad because it was a fun part of their day. Because the kids would be like, "Yeah, pull your horn," and they would go, "Ah," and then everyone would be
we
like,
don't want you to do that right now, though. Not in Ottawa, anyway.
And,
No.
and some of these truckers, because I remember driving for a company, and the guy was driving for his truck. He had installed like essentially train horns
I
on
had a
his truck.
friend who had that.
Whoa.
So if you think a truck horn is loud, a train horn, my God.
My friend had an actual train horn, and he let it go in the middle of a city on New Year's at midnight. And I'm not like it sounded like there was a fucking train going down the street. People were like, "What the fuck?" It was a real true train horn. He wasn't allowed legally to.
No.
Wow.
I used to live by a train, so yes, train horns.
like a true. Anyway.
But story number 3. Charlie Kirk, a man who brings more shame to the name Kirk than William Shatner.
Hey, William Shatner's fine.
Kirk Cameron.
All right.
Anyway.
Has a dream to create a homeschool K through 12 curriculum, which has hit a wall this week when employees at educational firm Strong Mind stated numerous concerns. Now, this venture was going to have a gross profit of $40 million. They were thinking at full capacity, which is 10,000 students, which is $4,000 per student, which is interesting because this is all like online content. So $4,000 for online content.
Right there is a very good window into the right-wing grift.
Oh, yes.
Right there, the numbers show that. Online schooling, not registered,
not accredited either. There's no accreditation.
And there's millions of dollars to make off that.
Wow. Yep.
There you go.
The Academy doesn't even have its own URL yet. It's being hosted on Turning Point website with advertising for the Turning Point USA live stream and the soon-to-come merch, which just looks absolutely awful. Freedom Learning Group, which was another firm selected to help with the curriculum, terminated their contract as soon as they found out who the end client was. And they were run by veterans' wives and veterans. And they were just like, oh, him? No, we're gone. We're gone.
Wow. So even the veterans don't like him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's just for the idiots who don't know, who's Charlie Kirk?
Charlie Kirk is a man who his biggest thing is a few years ago, he started a website, Turning Point USA, that listed out all of the professors at universities that were considered liberal. And that's where he got his fame. And just go from there. His whole thing was about
for people.
He's the right-wing Charlie Brown.
Yeah, he's a Trumper. He is 28 years old.
Really?
I was going to say, he seems so young.
I don't know much about him.
Wow.
He's got a lot of grift on him, though. I mean,
he's figured it out real quick.
Yeah,
I mean, admittedly, it doesn't take much with the right wing.
And we all know that the younger generation wants to make money fast, not hard. They're not really wanting to work hard. They just want it to kind of
we're smart.
Oh, Sabrina, don't go there.
That's the
Come
hustle.
on.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't do the
people
younger
said that about the
generation
millennials
thing.
too.
Oh,
You're saying
I
about
believe
everybody.
the generation is exactly the same. But
These kids are lazy. That's what we're trying to say, and they
They're
need to
lazy.
stay off my
Their
lawn.
music sucks.
I mean, how about this? I will say every
it's there, and the older generation doesn't know how to tap into it, but the younger generation does, and so they're literally making millions. And the older ones like me are sitting back going, "Huh?"
It's called TikTok. And
and not just, anyway, I'm proud of if you can. I know a guy who bought a $10 million house by playing video games all day, and you know what?
Good for him.
you know Ninja? Are you friends with Ninja? No. Okay.
Not going to mention anything.
So,
I was gonna say there's
you got to get those NFTs and sell your house that way, which is happening now.
That I don't understand, but they do. So
I still think that's the latest Beanie Babies.
yeah,
Nope, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh fudge.
Too funny.
It all kind of ties into Schadenfreude because
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, anyway, lessons learned from that. Excellent.
You think?
Thank you so much, Ritzy.
You think we learned a lesson?
Well,
Several.
I did learn that. I did learn that there's an Ottawa in Iowa.
Yes.
Me too. I didn't know that. I mean,
I had no idea.
you can't put two words like that that sound that
Ottawa
similar.
in California?
I don't
Potentially.
know. There's an Ontario.
I know there's a Miami in like Kentucky or some shit.
Oh yeah,
Weird. It's like what?
there's a city named Hell in Michigan.
You know what's
Oh.
really funny? I don't know any other country that has like the same city name in almost every single state or province. Like you've got a Springfield in pretty much every state.
Yep.
I think
I wonder if that's
people
a
go out of
thing in
imagination.
other countries.
Quick correction. The Ottawa's in Ohio.
Oh.
He called Ottawa, Ohio.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that a lot of people in the US just weren't really creative because if you look at all the names of all the lakes in Minnesota, we have like 20 billion long lakes.
Yeah.
Like how many long lakes? Which one is the longest?
Long Lake, and you're like, which one?
Longer
Yeah.
Lake.
So if you like have a date that you want to like not meet, you're like, meet a Long Lake.
And of course, the best name for the best city ever is Batman in Turkey.
I thought we decided it was Dildo in Newfoundland.
Oh yeah,
That's right. That one's good too.
Yeah.
In Texas, there's a Dish Texas that Dish Network actually paid and gave everyone Dish Network to rename their town.
Awesome. That's capitalism at its finest.
Right. Wow.
Bradley, it's time for another brother moment, man.
Yes, sir. So this time brought to you by religion. Bianca Grazia is of the Republican Party, is running for election to the Texas State Senate to represent District 11. She is on the ballot in the Republican primary on March 1st, 2022. She hasn't, we haven't gotten there yet. But man, this lady's fun. And it almost appears that she's threatening everybody in Texas. So Benjamin, you better, watch out. Because
have you got your? I was going to ask you if you have your concealed carry permit, but you don't need that.
Need that. They give out guns and candy machines. Like they don't,
Yeah, if you put a quarter, get that crane come down. I want the Walter piece.
It pulls the trigger by accident.
Yeah, it sucks. The safety's off.
But it's one of those ones where it's like it's every time you get something because it's just full of bullets.
Yeah.
But it's a mix of bullets.
Like the one that's full of candy and you play till you win. Instead, it's just bullets. Okay.
I love it.
But yeah, so we've got a clip of her real quick on show.
All right.
And it shouldn't get us in trouble. I finally found one that won't get us in trouble.
No, that was earlier on in the show.
No, frankly, I don't care.
Okay.
We're gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna say all kinds of things that get us in trouble.
Today I just finished a interview with some pastors, and I told them, I said straight up, I said, I'm only going to win if the church shows up. That's it. If you do not show up, then you will be held accountable because I have been appointed and assigned for this position, and the God is testing you all. I don't have anything else to say to you other than that. So you're going to either have to show up and show out, or you're going to have to deal with the Lord. And I'm not saying that lightly, and I'm not saying it in a very horrific way either. But that's where we're at at this point. That's where we're at. We've drawn the line. We're past the party lines. We are now fighting
within
a very evil, demonic.
What they're doing.
It's a hierarchy.
Demonic.
It's just a hierarchy.
Everybody drink.
Easy. Come on,
You're
say
exactly
it.
right.
Wait, she didn't say Marxism or socialism? Bach.
I was looking for
You got
Satan.
demonic, though.
Come on.
Wait. She is brilliant. She is brilliant. She knows who her audience is.
Yeah.
She knows she cannot win unless the evangelicals come out.
And she's telling them,
And she's
come on,
telling
vote
straight out.
because I am the appointed one. I'm your new God.
She knows exactly.
So let me explain to you what's happening in Texas is there are two types of Republicans that are running. There's traditional Republicans, and then there's people like this. And what they're doing is they're eating themselves alive, right? Because they're like talking about all these Reno Republicans, right? That, one that said things like insurgents or supported the January 6th community, and they are actively working against them. These are the real Republicans that want to shut down the January 6th Commission. They want to shut down all this normal stuff. They're screaming, drain the swamp. Like, there literally are signs that are against other Republicans saying these things about them, like, oh, they sided with the Dems on January 6th. It's like, you mean on the straight up insurgency? Like none of it was good. This wasn't like a friendly hangout where everyone was high-fiving each other. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, they sided with the people against crimes. Like, she's wow. Yeah.
It's a scary thought because it's exactly the type of grift she's pulling works because this is what kind of got Donald Trump in there. And if she's successful enough as a politician on the lower level, she could actually use that same reasoning and say, I've been appointed by God as your next president or whatever, and she could probably pull it off.
I think she's got there's a foil there that's going to trip her up, and that is she is a woman, and she's probably telling a whole bunch of guys who are very, very evangelical. So there is a part of a woman in your place there.
Not just that, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say she's also a woman of color. Her last name's Garcia, and she's got some pretty dark hair.
This is
so
Texas.
And it is Texas. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if she's not totally a woman of color, she's got.
Well, she's
partially shady.
She's the co-founder of. You're right, because she's the co-founder and president of Latinos for Trump organization.
Oh, there we go.
Well, so that
yeah.
So she's not going to get very far purely because of that. Because Republicans are racists.
Right? No, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, and that we have a lot of Latinx folks in Florida, and that's what always turns us red every time because it's just such a huge. They actually vote predominantly to the right.
Mostly because they're strongly Catholic leaning and
super religious. Yeah,
abortion.
Abortion
is the biggest sticker
that
there.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Okay.
Also in Florida, there's a lot of Cubans Cuban families who went from Cuba to the U.S. So there's a huge anti-Marxism type thing, which Cuba's not really communist, but whatever.
No.
Yeah.
It was close enough, apparently.
There's a lot that I don't know about the United States.
Well,
just
in the U.S., as soon as you're not full capitalist in the States, you're communist. So that's how people view it. But I also love the way how she just blatantly says it. She just comes out real straightforward and says it. You don't vote for me.
I won't get in, and it's all your fault.
I won't get in. It's your fault. God's going to be angry at you. She just absolutely says it.
Vote for me, it was vote for me or burn in hell. That was really what it sounded like. Yeah,
she literally said she was appointed by God, appointed by.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was prophesy or something.
Yeah, and she's already done this before. She already got heckled because before she was like, I've already, I've been appointed, and God has appointed me for this position, and everybody's like, nobody's voted yet, dude. Calm down. It was crazy.
But she's doing like Trump and just kind of stating it as fact even before it is fact.
No, and then if she doesn't get the primary, then she can say it's all fake. They fixed it.
Yeah, she'll just get out a Sharpie, right? And then you can just
the next 10 years are going to show exactly the legacy of Trump.
Yeah,
which is how people do politics. It's not, so much of stupidity and all the stupid things he's done and said. Mm-hmm. It's how people do politics, and it's a scary, scary world we're going in.
Anyway. Trump, Trump and the product of social media basically deciding our elections. You know, getting news through social media and all that's fairly new. You know, so.
On that scary note, thank you so much, Bradley. Let's take a quick pause, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Janice Selbie, and we're talking about her new show and CORT 2022 for the Conference on Religious Trauma 2022. So that'll be very fun. All right, so stay with us, and we'll be right back.
It's where it's at. You're listening to Left at the Valley. I don't know why you are, but you are.
I'm Amy with a Y.
And I'm Amy with an I.
And we're the hosts of Secular Soup, where each week we offer up a bowl of real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever else we want to talk about because it's our podcast.
Just listen to what these random dudes are saying about our show.
This is what would happen if Daria and Jane grew up and started a podcast.
So if you like extremely foul-mouthed ladies with opinions, this is the podcast for you.
Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.
Hi, I'm God, and I just wanted to make sure to tell you not to listen to Unapologetics on Stitcher and SoundCloud. That's Unapologetics with an X at the end. But, yeah, definitely do not listen to the show. I mean, I swear to me, alright, I will murder my son. Well, I mean, I kind of already did that, but just don't listen to the show, okay? Hey, Lucy.
Can you not call me that, okay? We already went over what my name is, okay? It's Lucifer.
Alright, look, Luce. You wanna come with me? I'm gonna go fuck with this guy, Job.
No, don't do that, okay? Can you just leave him alone?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill his family.
No, don't do that.
I'm gonna give him sores all over his body.
Don't do that. That's disgusting.
And, I'm gonna kill all of his livestock. You know?
Stop saying things. Just stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame the whole thing on you. Alright, let's go, bud. Remember, don't listen to Unapologetics on Stitcher and SoundCloud.
Hey, definitely listen to that show. It's awesome. It's really cool. He's really a dick.
I heard that.
All right, our returning champion is one half of the Godless Mom and the coordinator for CORT 2022. She's a snappy dresser and a snazzy dancer, Janice Selbie. Welcome back to the show.
Yay! Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
God, I'm always wrong with my applause.
There it is.
Yay! Woo!
That's
yay.
better.
That's better.
Delayed,
I'll do it for you.
reaction.
Woo! Yay! I
They
am
were so in
clapping.
awe.
Listen to me clap. See, I did it. I solved the problem.
Janice, welcome back to the show. We're really glad to have you again on the show. It's always a pleasure. For those that missed you maybe the first time around, last time you were on the show, maybe you'd be so kind to give us a quick bio as to who Janice Selbie is.
Sure. Yes, I grew up in a Pentecostal home in British Columbia in Canada, and I was a firm believer. I wasn't really raised with a choice about believing, so I did believe the Bible was the literal truth of God and God's existence and humanity, believed in a young earth, believed in virgin birth, all that kind of stuff. And then I married an equally religious person, and he became a pastor. And at that point, I became extra fundamentalist. Like, my original fundamentalism was not holy enough, so I really had to get very holy. So I started wearing a head covering and no TV and no makeup, no fun, and homeschooled our children and was really quite uptight for several years. And until eventually, unfortunately, there was a series of crises and calamities that hit our family just over and over again in a short span of time. And it really made me realize, I don't think if there is a God up there, he's either not seeing what's going on or he doesn't care about what's going on. And I don't want to be involved in any kind of religion that would worship a God like that. So then I did a big dive into the New Age community and got to explore all sorts of things formerly forbidden to me until I eventually recognized that there was a lot of dogma in that community too. And I was like, hey, guess what? I don't need any of this. And I've been a happy heathen atheist ever since.
Excellent. Oh, that's awesome.
Eventually, you found your way out of the bottom of the barrel. You came on our show. Then, nothing was going up at that point.
That's
now
right.
you have your own show called Godless Moms.
The Godless Moms podcast, yes, and it's a show about secular parenting. So my co-host is the lovely Courtney Hurd. She's the original Godless Mom all over social media, and she was raised in a pretty atheist kind of home. They didn't do any religious stuff, which to me is just shocking. And then I come in with the alternate experience of having grown up in a very religious home and then being even more religious when I was parenting. And so I see some of the inherent toxicity and dangers and sorrow that can really be a part of religious training and religious parenting. And so we just try and talk about things to make parenting easier in a secular style. It's been really good for me. It's been quite refreshing interacting with Courtney.
Yeah, it must have been almost therapeutic as well. But when you look at your audience, and I'm sure you got some viewers that come and ask you questions about parenting in a secular way, what's the one thing that really comes up a lot?
Probably questions about morality. So people might join in our podcast, like be watching us from what if some of them are still religious, some of them are just exiting religion, and it has very much to do with the religious identity and religious values. And of course, they would call it morality. I never use that word with my own clients. I'm a therapist. I work with people recovering from religious trauma. So I would instead use words like ethics and values. And so at any rate, people are wondering, well, where do you get your morality from if you're not following the Bible and all that kind of stuff? So yeah, that's a really common question.
That's very interesting. I find from a male perspective that women really, when it comes to religion, have like a really raw deal, because it seems in this society women have been given unofficially the role of guardians of tradition, and a lot of women will turn to religion, a religion which is, let's face it, is when you talk about the Abrahamic religion, not pro women at all. Work very strongly against them. Yet they are the ones spreading it onto their children. So it's almost like the victim victimizing the next generation at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of promises made as far as religion. All humans really crave certainty, security, and order, and particularly in these uncertain times in which we're living. And religion promises those things in spades. And so it makes sense for women who already feel unsupported by society or in their marriage or whatever's going on. And so they tend to really reach out and want to connect. And religious communities are very cult-like, and they will love bomb people and really make you feel very important and significant and like you matter. And so that can be hard to, like, we don't have a substitute for that. It's even when I'm talking with people who have left religion and they're saying, well, where do you find your hope now? It is very different as an atheist. I felt really safe and secure and warm and fuzzy in all my community when I was very religious. And then it was a stark reality when I lost my faith and I didn't have the fluffy promises or beliefs in afterlife or any of that stuff. It was really an existential crisis that I had to walk through. And I became a counselor at that time, did my schooling, and started to learn about my own religious trauma.
Well, and you lose a lot of your support group when you leave too, right? Like I know this, especially because from my perspective, I was raised Mormon, and my partner was raised Mormon also. And so for her, from her perspective, it's the church is set up in such a way that if you leave, you lose all of your support group, you lose all of your friends.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was mentioning just before I came on here with you guys that I had just participated in another interview this morning with a group that has left the Amish tradition, the Amish religion, and they are absolutely shunned when they leave. And so everybody that they knew who was their support, it's all cut off. It's like if you're picked up and plunk down into a totally foreign country and you don't speak the language, nobody speaks your language, and you have no idea how to get resources. In some of the religious communities, the education is quite limited. And so then they're in this totally strange world where people will take advantage of vulnerable people. and they really need help. And so it can be quite difficult to find community and build community outside of religion.
And it's probably a wise thing that you talk to the Amish before talking to us, because you might need some trauma counseling after this show, and it would not be a good thing to be talking to the Amish after us.
I bet they talk about dicks less than we do too.
Just a tiny.
Well, no. Well, I mean, a lot of people, of course, like myself, once they leave a very kind of repressive religious situation, boy, it's just like that corset was bound too tight, that thing's going to come flinging off, everything's going to come out. Or I talk about holding that beach ball underwater for too long and the pressure just builds up. And that's what it's like for a lot of us when we leave some of those groups. And we do definitely dive into the many delights that life has to offer.
We like the coordinators. We really like that. I want to encourage our co-hosts, Hertzie and Sabrina, since we're talking about Godless Mom and from a female perspective, I want to give you guys priority if you have questions to ask of Janice.
Don't worry, I'll interrupt if I need
perfect.
to.
I don't want
to. But Kevin, there's not
point
enough
is you guys
male
are allowed
voices.
to talk. That's the
The male perspective doesn't have a place. Come on, we need it, Kevin. Why would you do this
I
to
know,
us?
right? I mean, if
we need some mansplaining here.
Exactly. How else can you be explained to if it's not mansplained?
I know. I mean, we're so repressed. All these white men out there that can't speak anything. Jeez.
Right. Terrible.
Wow, right? The most repressed.
Kevin denies ever mansplaining, but I have proof. It was voted on, and it was confirmed that he mansplained me.
I don't have
He doesn't know about
I don't have to
it,
listen to those wild allegations.
I thought you would say I resemble that remark.
So Janice, your show so far with Courtney, how has it been received in the general public?
I think it's actually been received quite well, largely because lots of people are familiar with her. Hardly anyone knows who I am. But so when she promotes that we're doing this show, lots of people really like and admire her because she's a writer also on Pathos. And so, yeah, a lot of people tune in. I heard at one point we were ranked number 8 or something in parenting podcast in Costa Rica. I've never even been to Costa Rica. I think a field trip is in order. We got to give our fans what they want.
Do a live show. Yeah, that'd be great.
Live from Costa Rica, it's the Godless Moms.
Of course, we do get we do get folks coming in trying to proselytize us. So Neil, the 604 atheist, helps us out sometimes, trying to keep out some of those folks that we do call trolls, and that can be difficult. I know what it's like to come from a fundamentalist background and earnestly believe that everybody needs to be saved. And the best thing I could do is try and bring them into the fold and teach them how to be saved. But you know what? That's super obnoxious and annoying for people who have no interest in being part of your fold. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. But the problem is, like you said, the intention behind the person trying to do that, they're trying to quote unquote save you. So they're doing it out of a position of love in a way. So when we kind of reject that offer, in their mind, it just goes, well, what are you doing? It's like you're in a house fire. I'm trying to give you a ladder to climb out of it, and you don't want to.
Yeah, it's so difficult because they can't see it any other way. I have the benefit of seeing it from both sides. Because I've been in that situation. I've tried very hard to influence and save other people. And only now do I realize completely unnecessary. We don't need saving. But there was a time when I sure did.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. There's also another thing that you I don't want to let's make a note here. Sorry, I'm gonna edit that part here.
Okay. Yeah, we lost a little bit of the feed. That's okay. Looks like we're back.
So Courtney's well known for starting the Godless Mom, and you join in there. What are you guys bring on a lot of guests on your show once in a while, or you bring you just have a lot of interviews with other mothers or other parents?
It's mainly Courtney and I discussing parenting topics or sometimes pertinent things in the news. We've only had one guest so far, and it was Carl Sagan's daughter. Sasha Sagan.
Oh,
So I gotta say, that's a pretty great first guest for us.
Yeah. Holy
Of course,
shit.
I wasn't allowed to watch or read Carl Sagan, but Courtney really just admired him greatly, and we were delighted to have Sasha on.
Oh, wow. Awesome. That should be guest on our show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how come we haven't been
Send
invited
us
on
her info.
But if you guys could bring on somebody that has a special significance to you, who would you bring? I mean,
Yes. We have also considered, and probably will in the future, bringing on some First Nations guests. They, a lot of them, of course, if raised in residential schooling or even after residential schooling, the culture and the family system was so decimated by that. And of course, the church was largely behind all that. And so I also do a webinar series with some First Nations counselors called journeytounderstanding.ca. That's the name of the website. And we put together these webinars to just try and help non-Indigenous people learn to become better allies to our Indigenous neighbors here in Canada. And that's interesting as well. And Courtney has a real concern and passion for those First Nation Canadian issues as well. So we might look at doing some of that in the future too.
Yeah, and it must be particularly difficult for First Nations because, there's so little of their culture left.
Mhm.
And a lot of what's left around their culture centers around their Indigenous faith. So it must be really difficult for them to separate, the faith from the culture and try to teach. You can teach, ancient skills that they used to use, but
Right.
The stories is what they have. And the stories are really centered around their faith, their Indigenous faith.
Well, it has, what I find is that, so the Catholic Church, I mean, other churches were involved, Anglican, Presbyterian as well. But the Catholic Church really is the one that just was so focused on stamping out any Indigenous culture at all and making them become Catholic. And there is like that Stockholm syndrome. Dr. Janja Lalich calls it bounded choice. So it's really not much of a choice, and you're kind of trauma bonded to your abuser. And so there are a lot of First Nations people and Inuit and Métis people in Canada who retain a Catholic faith that was forced onto them. And so actually at the conference on religious trauma, which is coming up in April, I'm having some speakers, a Native American speaker and a First Nations Canadian speaker, talking about some of the role that the church has played in cultural genocide in their groups.
Wow. And where's this event happening?
The conference on religious trauma is going to be online again. Last year was our first one, and it was a smashing success. So this one will be April 29th to May 1st online. And people can buy tickets at religiostraumaconference.org.
April 29th,
Awesome.
May 1st.
Get that in the show notes, Sabrina.
It's already there.
Oh, thank you.
And you organized that?
Traumaconference.org. I got it.
Yes, I did organize it. So when I went back to school, so I divorced religion, divorced my husband, went back to school to get my counseling designation, and then started becoming active on Twitter, talking about religion and religious trauma, and connected with Dr. Marlene Winnell. And she has a very important book called Leaving the Fold, which is really helpful for anyone coming out of a fundamentalist background. And when I connected with Marlene, I started to recognize the pervasiveness of religious trauma around the world, and just the fact that we needed more people talking about it. We needed to raise awareness of it. And so I said, why don't I do a conference? Let's do a conference. Having never done a conference in my life made me the perfect candidate to decide I was going to put together a conference. If you ever want to put on a conference, call me and I'll talk you out of it. Yeah.
I was going to say that is a lot of work, right?
It was so much work, and I do it all out of my own pocket. So I have, I needed to have a website built, and I have an event planner, and I do advertising, do all this stuff I pay out of my own pocket, and then I didn't know if 30 people would be interested or 50. We had over 330 people who bought tickets to that event, and they're still buying tickets to last year's events because we recorded all the sessions, as we'll do this year, so people can still simply buy the recordings. So
that's
there's
wow.
a lot of
And
interest.
we can just buy that right at your
That's
website too, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Perfect.
The website.
wow.
Yep. The website will take you to registration, and you can either get the all access pass, which means you attend the event live. You have the opportunity to interact with the speakers. It's all on Zoom. Or you can, if finances are an issue, or maybe you're in a different time zone, you can simply purchase the recordings. And there are continuing education credits that are available for mental health clinicians who attend. I'm trying to make it as big a thing as possible so that everybody can come and learn about religious trauma and find out about the recovery that's available.
That was my
That's
next
awesome.
question. Sorry, Bentley, did I interrupt you?
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying
Okay.
it's awesome.
I that was my next question. My next question was, who seems to be your primary target audience that people are interested in CORT 2022? Is it the professionals? Is it the layperson? Who seems to be really purchasing these tickets?
I think it's both. It's a really good, because the conference is geared for both. Like it's anybody who is recovering from religious trauma, who wants to learn more about it, they can feel just as comfortable sitting in as the therapists who are coming. So some of it is geared specifically to some different therapy type techniques, but a lot of it is looking at what does it mean to be traumatized by religion? How does that affect people? How does it show up in different religious groups? So we've got a former Mormon speaking this year at one of our sessions, Luna Corbden, and her book is about lifting the veil of Mormon mind control. It's a really interesting, she's an interesting person, very experienced with Mormonism. I think next year I'll see if I can find someone who's left the Jehovah's Witness faith. I've got someone also who left Islam. I've got a former Amish person who will be speaking, and then lots of psychologists who are familiar with the traumas caused by religion, and they'll be addressing this as well.
Wow.
Oh, cool. So you kind of do a bit of, so you do some people that have left, the different, very heavily indoctrinated, from their religions. And then you also have the experts that can tell you what's going on the, that's brilliant. Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Yeah. I try and have something for everyone. Last year I did it so huge, it almost was just too much, because I think I had about 22 speakers. It went over 5 days, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't have to make it quite as huge. Like this year I don't have to like break myself trying to put this thing together. So this year it'll just be Friday night and then Saturday and Sunday. And I think that'll be, everyone's going to get their money's worth. I try and keep the tickets somewhat reasonably priced, because I want people to be able to attend. And that's another reason I'm not doing it in person. If I was doing it in person, like I originally planned before the pandemic, the costs would be twice as much as they are, because I'd have to I'd be paying for flights and accommodations for speakers and food and all that stuff. And I also like to give my speakers an honorarium just to thank them for their time. So it's way easier to do it online.
Yeah, and it's more affordable for the people attending too, because they don't have to buy plane tickets and hotels and all that. So it's a more affordable all around.
Yeah.
That's great.
So what are some of the names that are attending CORT 2022 this year?
Dr. Marlene Winnell will be a speaker again, and so will Daryl Ray, Luna Corbden, I mentioned her. Elam Zook is our former Amish person. We've got Dr. Caleb Lack, David Teachout, Dr. Stephen Davidson. A lot of people who they've written books, or they're professors, psychology professors at universities, as well as having, being therapists in their own right, and they have come out of religious backgrounds. And they work specifically with this demographic. And then we'll have some frank discussions around sexuality and relationships as well, because I find a lot of folks, if they were raised religious and then they married probably quite young, and then they are no longer religious, and everything comes into question. Everything, sexuality and this. What about this marriage? Do we want to open this marriage? Do we want to stay married? Like, everything is up for grabs because it's such a jarring and tremendous paradigm shift.
Interesting. Well, why is it that, in your opinion, people don't seem to understand or officially acknowledge religious trauma yet? Even the professionals, what do you think that is? I mean, you can go and see a show on Oprah Winfrey about the traumas of sexual, how to call it, the sexual addicts, which is not even a thing.
Right.
But
Oh yeah,
religious trauma is a thing, but yet it's not acknowledged by the public. Why is that?
Yeah, Dr. Ray, who is the founder of recoveringfromreligion.org, Daryl spoke at length last year about that exact problem, why religious trauma is not acknowledged in the psychological community. And I think it has to do with being just a sacred cow. People hate to say anything bad about religion, and they even worry it might affect their business, particularly in America. It's not, it's not quite so. Canada doesn't seem quite as saturated as the United States with all religious nonsense. But in the States, it can really be hard on businesses if people say that they are atheist and so I think that can affect some therapists as well. I did take out an ad this year for the first time. It won't come out until March, but I took out an ad in Psychology Today about the conference on religious trauma. It cost me like $1,000 to do it. So I'm very nervous. I hope that some people see it and will attend as a result of that. But yeah, we'll see. People are starting to talk about it more because more and more people, thankfully, are leaving religion.
Yeah. By the way, for you, for our American friends, $1,000 Canadian, that's about $200 US.
Oh yeah, right.
Wow, I knew it.
See, not these days. Let's be real now.
Kevin's really good at math.
Yeah, that's fast math right there.
Are you homeschooled? Yeah.
I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
Oh God. So what's in the future, you figure, for religious trauma? Where do you see this conference going? I mean, so far you guys seem to be off to a great start, and you seem to be building a lot of interest. Hopefully the ball keeps rolling that way. But what future plans do we have? Can we expect from CORT?
I would like just to see it really growing exponentially year after year. And I would like some of the bigger and well-known TV stations and programs to start focusing on it. So I have been approached by a reporter for NPR in the United States, and she would like to attend both my conferences and then do some related writing. I hope that the secular world really starts opening up and embracing the fact that a lot of people are traumatized by religion, and it impacts people in just insidious ways. People who have been raised in fundamentalist religious homes share a ton of symptoms with people who have been raised in alcoholic homes. So adult children of alcoholics have a huge amount of crossover for symptoms with people I like to call acorns, adult children of religious nuts. There's a lot of crossover there.
Oh, that's so interesting. I was actually going to ask because, I'd love at some point to try to start some sort of secular sobriety type of, organization or something. And I was wondering, do you get a lot of like people coming out of religion that kind of, because of the trauma, they try to self-medicate
Yeah.
and go
Yes.
through? Okay. See,
Excellent question. And so not only do people tend to try and self-medicate with substances and behaviors, but often they'll do what is known as cult hopping, or they'll jump from one group to another to another. They're doing what feels familiar. They're doing what feels safe. And it's, they're trying to mitigate the pain and disruption that they feel from having left that group. I do recommend for my clients who are dealing with addiction and sobriety type issues, I recommend they go to smartrecovery.org. And then also there actually are some atheist and agnostic branches of AA. Because some people really, they like that 12-step thing, but a lot of folks who have left religion don't want anything to do with 12-step because they don't even want to talk about a higher power, think about a higher power, God, in any way. So I'm appreciative that you're looking at doing some kind of secular sobriety. That's an area we could use more help in.
I had no idea there was such a thing as atheist AA, because AA has a tremendous record of not being as good as nowhere near as good as they think they are.
Yeah.
And it is really essentially, another form of indoctrination.
Yes. Yeah. And I do actually look at religion often as a form of addiction, as an addiction. And that, of course, speaks to why there is such crossover between adult children of alcoholics and those of us who grew up in fundy homes.
Okay. So, see, because I was thinking like, I felt like a lot of it, because I ended up going through a lot of drug type stuff once I came out of religion. I was still a Christian, but I was just, didn't want to deal with the church anymore. But I found like trying to relate to people was very difficult when you've been homeschooled and you just don't feel like you understand people because it's just such a different world.
Yes.
So I was just, so you see that kind of a lot. And
Oh yeah, and actually that is another issue we're going to be tackling at court this year. I'm going to have a panel of speakers talking about the pitfalls and dangers of religious schooling, both homeschooling and attending a religious school for their education. And I think that panel is going to be about 90 minutes long, and I have a former Orthodox Jewish person, a former Amish person, a former homeschooled, quiverful type of person who was homeschooled all the way, and then a fellow who runs a group in the United States trying to bring about safety and regulations for homeschool groups and families, because people are going to keep homeschooling, and people homeschool for many reasons. It's not just religious folks, of course, who do it, but when people do it for religious reasons, the educational aspect of it can tend to fall by the wayside because just the indoctrination portion of it is really emphasized.
Yeah, it was like the whole all of the science was just why science it doesn't work,
Yeah.
like why all the all the scientists are lying, like it's like
and
an
don't
entire
have
subject.
sex. Yes, exactly. And there's no education around sex, just a lot of abstinence, if that even comes up at all. So
Yeah, no, none at all. That's true. Wow.
Do you feel that we live in an age now where, politically speaking, there is kind of like a backlash against anything that's intellectual? Now, your conference is kind of geared towards, academia and people that want to learn more about science and the science of psychology. Has there been some kind of backlash towards your conference as well? Have you run into?
No, the only people who have issues with my conference are the religious people, and that nowhere is that more apparent than on Facebook. Whenever I run an ad campaign promoting the conference on religious trauma, bam, I get totally slammed by fundamentalists who it is impossible for them to just let my ad go, just scroll by, just keep scrolling because it's not for them. They have to get on there and tell me how I'm taking people to hell, I'm in league with the devil, I'm preaching the doctrine of devils, I'm whatever it is that they think is going on. Sometimes it's actually humorous because it's so weird, but it always is. It makes me sad too, because I see they're so firmly entrenched. Their minds are completely controlled by how they've been indoctrinated, and it's makes things harder for everybody. You can't, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool fundy, you can't have a deep relationship with your kids if they have rejected your religion. Your relationship immediately becomes very surface level, if at all. Some will cut their kids off entirely for rejecting the religion.
Have you met the devil? Because I'm pretty sure he's hot.
Well, I've seen some videos that made me think, yeah, you're right.
But if you are, we can also send you that address for that. Send a bag of dicks to these people. Smash your ass.
Just get them to post to their address.
Oh my gosh.
God, I had a train of thought here that I just lost.
Well, I could tell you about my other conference that's coming up in October.
That's where I was heading.
Yeah. All right. So in April, I just told you we're doing the conference on religious trauma. In October, because I decided I was not quite busy enough and I must really love hosting conferences, I'm going to be hosting the inaugural Shameless Sexuality, Life After Purity Culture Conference. And this is open to anyone who has been indoctrinated by purity culture. I hope it goes even bigger than CORT. I see that there is such a massive need for people to receive accurate education about sex and sexuality and sexual attraction and types of, genders and everything else, that whole thing, that particularly for those of us raised in a really insular environment, we just didn't receive adequate teaching about it. And we want to normalize it. And we want people to know that however you are is fine. It's fine. You're fine. And so I have sex therapists who will be speaking, and a number of psychologists also with backgrounds in religious trauma and the damage caused by purity culture. I'll have people who have opened up their marriages or transitioned out from a monogamous relationship to poly relationships, just talking about all these different things, bringing it all to the light of day for people to learn and find community, and hopefully it'll just be a marvelous time. I'm really looking forward to it.
Openly,
I could say I'm
sex.
excited, but excited about my own conference on sexuality.
We don't openly talk about sex in the States, okay? This is just another thing we do.
I'm gonna say just the fact.
And this conference is online as well, I'm assuming.
It is, yes. I think a lot of Americans must have to watch Canadian porn because anything goes in Canada. We're not nearly as repressed as a lot of.
Now I'm curious. So,
right.
Canadian
that's
porn,
one thing I find
a
funny.
specific name? Do I do like maple leaf porn? What do I do?
Yes, maple.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's one thing I find funny about the
syrup.
United States is that we have such puritanical values. However, if you look at porn and stuff, it's all over the place with the all over the map with the stuff, and it's looking at it and it's like we're really, really like sorry.
And
So
porn
what they-
usually comes out with some kind of a map of the United States and where each
yes.
state what the biggest searches are.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
realize in the Christian South,
Bible Belt.
heading towards Florida, towards Brentley, it gets more twisted and twisted every time. It's like,
Yeah, Minnesota's too cold for anything like that. For us, a parka is lingerie.
The Bible Belt's more creative sexually than you think, and it's like we're not allowed to look at any of it, So it all goes on up here.
If you want to see something interesting, look up Mormon porn or bubble porn. Where essentially they use like Photoshop where they put something over them so it like covers all of the parts you're not supposed to see, but of course then you get the insinuation of it.
Wow.
So like Japanese hentai?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yes,
say the blurred like cartoon.
It is. It refers to the bubble collage like they do it in Japan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just Googled and that's flipping hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. They don't really do
even
that,
the
do they?
topic of porn itself can be very problematic for people who grew up fundamentalist, even once they leave, because they do think that someone could be addicted to porn, or that's the worst thing, or it's their partner's being unfaithful if they're viewing pornography. So there's a lot of discussion and listening and educating and validating that needs to go on between the therapist and the client. And I'm hoping that the Shameless Sexuality Conference will normalize sex in all its different forms and discussions around sex. We're adults. We are allowed to talk about these things and allowed to enjoy sex. And we certainly want our young people to learn about how they can have sex and enjoy sex and not reproduce if they don't want to reproduce or aren't ready to do that. And so abstinence, it's just the name for those who follow abstinence is parents. It's the same with people who use condoms. The name for them is parents, because they're going to have kids.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
You know, you were saying that Canada is, much more loose when it comes to porn as compared to U.S. But even Canada is much more
reserved,
prudish than in places like Europe. Europe, this is like taught wide open.
Yeah, they got exposed breast on TV after 8 p.m.
Yeah,
exactly.
After 8.
Wow, what channel is that?
cutoff.
I'll do some research.
Have you ever seen half of the commercials that even come out of Europe? Like, there's some pretty racy commercials.
I remember this time I was dating this American woman, and she came up here for a visit, and we're watching TV, and there happens to play a Trojan condom commercial, and she stopped and she grabbed me, she looked at me and said, "They can play this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just nothing going on. It's just a condom commercial. You have this couple going to the cashier saying, "Oh, we're really excited about trying this thing," or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was. And she was like, totally, "Oh my God, I can't believe they play this on TV." Yeah. Welcome to reality.
This reminds me.
Oh, yeah.
I used to work at this gas station, and this couple came up with these condoms, right? And they were the Snug Fit condoms, and he embarrassingly slides them to me, and she goes, "Yeah, those are the ones he needs." And I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
I don't need to know this.
Is this part of your shaming? Am I part of your kink right now? Because I think I need some consent. Because
Oh, Jesus.
That's so terrible. Well, I was thinking that it makes sense that in Europe they are much more open and really adult about topics like sex, and also about topics like drinking and drug use, because they are much farther removed from the religion than we are over here in North America. An interesting thing I've been doing is tracking where visitors are visiting my websites from. So for both of the conferences, and it's been incredible. For the conference on religious trauma, I have had visitors from China, from the Congo. I had one from Saudi Arabia the other day. I thought that was pretty impressive. And of course, all over the United States, Malaysia, Europe, not as many in Europe. Certainly most of them are from the United States and some from Canada as well. But I'm very thrilled that people around the world are finding out about this conference.
Wow.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
And as a promotion, if you sign up now for the conference on sex in October, you get a free bag of penis pasta by Janice. No, just kidding, guys.
Don't listen to him.
But we can give your viewers a code for a $20 discount off their tickets. And they can apply that to the conference on religion and to the Shameless Sexuality Conference. Or if they want to buy all event access, like all access passes to both of those events, if they buy them together, they get a $50 discount off those.
Sure.
Sweet.
Whoa.
That would be great.
That sounds like a sweet deal.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's reiterate those names for the court and the
Shameless sexuality.
shameless sexuality.
Yeah, you've got the religiostraumaconference.org, and
Mhm.
that's why for
Yeah, and the other one's shamelesssexuality.org.
There we go. Perfect. Excellent.
And then were you going to put in the discount code, or should I just say that right out of my mouth?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do
Also
it. Let's
put it in.
give it to as many as
Okay.
possible.
All right. When you are typing in your registration and you want to buy your tickets, you can type in the code podcast20, and that will give you a $20 American discount on the ticket.
Discount.
I can remember that. One. That's neat.
Yeah.
That was maybe something complicated like QRT9394969.
Up,
No,
down, down, left, left.
Podcast 20.
Yeah, I think it's a capital P, and then the rest is lowercase.
Perfect.
So there's no penis pasta that goes along with that. Just the
You
podcast
have to
20.
buy your own
$20
penis pasta.
discount's still good.
Yeah.
You can use the $20 that you save to go buy your penis pasta.
I like
That's
the way
it.
you think.
Now we're thinking.
Now we're thinking like pros.
I was gonna say, I think you can get a fair amount of penis pasta for $20.
Probably.
Yeah.
How much does
Maybe some
penis
chocolate.
pasta cost?
It costs more in Canada.
We'll have to find out. Janice, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. If people want to find out more about you and Godless Moms, where can they find you?
People can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Divorce Religion, and I'm also at wise_counselor. And Courtney is on there as at Godless Mom. And my website for my counseling and consulting work that I do is called divorcing-religion.com.
Fantastic.
Right on.
Janice,
Oh,
like I said,
This
it's
was
always,
so much fun.
it's always a pleasure to have you on, dear. Before I let you go, I gotta have you say, hi, this is Janice Selbie of Court 2022, and I took a left to the valley.
I hope I can remember all that.
Whichever way you want. It's not
He
like-
says
Okay.
so much.
Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Janice Selbie of Court 2022, and I took a left at the valley.
Ooh, very well.
Woohoo.
Yay!
It's one of the best ones I've
And
heard.
we are
Yeah.
back. And that was our friend Janice Selbie talking about Court 2022 and conference like shameless sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
She's always fun to be on. I love her. I
Oh,
love her.
yeah.
Yeah, she's always fun guests. Yeah.
It's kind of a shame her partner Courtney couldn't join us. I would love to have her as well.
But I don't know that Courtney would know much about the two conferences that Janice
doesn't
is
matter. I
hosting,
mean-
so it's kind of, it worked out.
It doesn't matter. It's always fun to have always a couple of female guests
Mm-hmm.
on the show. So go check out these sites, guys.
Yeah.
Court2022.org.
It's journeytounderstanding.ca is one of the websites she mentioned. She also mentioned religiostraumaconference.org, shamelesssexuality.org, and also her personal counseling site, divorcing-religion.com.
Excellent.
There you go.
Perfect.
Excellent.
There they are.
Do it.
Anything
And
else you need to
podcast
say?
20 is the
Yeah,
episode.
podcast 20
Yes.
for
It may or may
$20.
not be a capital P. I'm
Yeah.
sure you can figure it out.
Try it.
You can try both.
Save yourself $20 US.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janice Selbie, for being our guest on the show, and thank you to my co-hosts Sabrina, Benjamin, Brentley, and Hertzy, and thank you for listening. You can follow us at leftatvalley.ca. You can follow us, send us an email at leftatvalley@outlook.com. You can send us a Twitter at LATV Podcast. You go to Facebook, YouTube. You can just do slash
Instagram
slash
Left at the
Left of the
Valley.
Valley. What else am I missing? Give us a 5-star review wherever you find us. It helps us, helps others find the show, and you can become a patron now too. Patron too. By go to patreon.com/LATV and help us grow the show. All right, Bradley, what do you got coming up, bud?
All right, yeah. So I'd unapologetics panel stream every Wednesday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just search in the search bar of YouTube unapologetics. spelled with
Subscribe
an
so
X.
that we can do a slash there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need
subscribe.
like 20 more subscribers
Oh,
or
that's it.
something.
Well, come on.
Or
Go and
30.
subscribe. Help us out here so that we can do youtube.com/unapologetics.
Yes, exactly.
That's the dream.
Perfect. Coming up next week, we'll have Ian Harris. That should be fun. And after that, we'll have Nick Fish as well the next week before. After that, I should say. And in March, we'll have Dave Fitzgerald. We'll be talking about Mormons. And, of course, we'll have our friend Dr. Ben Davis. We'll be talking about documentaries as well. We'll have Valerie Tarico. We'll be talking about wokeness. And we'll also have Gerald Posner talk about God's bankers.
Interesting.
We've got lots of. Oh, and also we have Kathleen and Aubrey, an atheist and a Christian. They're podcasters, and that's coming in April. So we got lots of things coming on the pipe already.
So what you're saying is that this podcast can be around for a while.
Well, I hope so.
Good.
Yeah. Although I might kick you off it.
Okay. Bye.
Wow.
Thank you so much, guys. Until next time.
Let's go. Okay. Don't leave us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to get the oh, yeah. All right, fine.
No.
Next time. Bye.
I have a story real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So I worked at an adult store for about 6 months or so when I was late 20s. It was awesome. Anyways, I remember this. We had a rule, of course, nobody under 18 can come in. Great. Now, if somebody brought in like a 2-year-old, I wasn't going to, it's like, fine, they're not going to remember this. And somebody brought in it was a 2 or 3-year-old. And the kid was a little upset. And she went over to our candy machine, which had little candy penises. Cranked it. And she's like, he's not going to know.
I love it.
That was one of the best days.
It's with a handful of dick.
Did it make everything better?
You did calm down a little bit after that because candy's candy.
Yeah, makes it better for me.
The day keeps the doctor away.
That's right.
Okay, let's
Okay,
start
see,
the show.
I have to stop this recording now. I have to start a new one because of that story.
That's perfect.
Do you?
Yeah, exactly. Do you?
All right, perfect. Let's do this. Okay, recording in 3, 2, 1.